Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this with you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella come in, he said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything is deathly silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, there's no night noise, because, you know, there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.
Nothing. Hi everybody, welcome to Sunday Night Truth Proof. As always, I hope you've had a good weekend. We've just got Paul tonight. I'm saying we as though there's 2 of us once again, aren't I? So value your questions, please, in caps. We'll get through a few accounts if there isn't any questions, and talk about a few things that have been happening in and around area that we kind of do a lot of, not a little bit of research, a lot of research. And as you know, there's a good team of people that go up there. But hope you're all well tonight. I don't know what weather's like in your part of the country stroke world, but it's bloody cold here, so just have that little heater on. And let's just have a look. Let's see, we've got 160, 170 people in here, so that's brilliant. Thanks for doing moderating, Lee. I'm not sure if Alison's in. If you are, thank you, Alison. Gemma, and let's have a look. Andrew Wild, Freezy Peach, Stargazer Eternal, Dragonborn, and we've done Andrew, haven't we? Kirky, 40 and 23. Good to see you, 40. And Stargazer, we've done Amelia. Michelle Waters, is it? Yeah, Moon Dog. I think Linny will be in. Clifftop Pete, Dave Barker, Mia Girl, Mrs. Linny, Bump Sin. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Chris Mack, thanks for support. Space Cow. You're not the Space Cow, Chris. That just followed on. And yeah, absolutely brilliant. And every week I'm just amazed by support. So it's your stream, guys. So I want some questions in capital letters. And we've been up there this week, and I'm not sure if I talked about it last week because Jay came on. And, you know, we sort of shared some of his experiences and thoughts on the subject. But if I did, forgive me, because I think only thing of significance that's happened up on the cliff tops, and Linny or Pete will correct me if I'm wrong, since a week last Friday, is that we'd no sooner parked up at the car park, and them 2 will know what I'm talking about here. As you're walking through car park, a security light goes on and obviously illuminates the area. You get out of that and you're down onto cliffs. Very thick cloud, very, very dark night, really dark. This is a week last Friday. And there's 3 of us walking down. Didn't put a torch on. There's a path to go on at first. There were fishermen down there, but it was that dark we could hardly see their torches. That's how dark it was. And we all commented it were a dark night. But then suddenly, within 60 to 90 seconds of leaving that compound, remember, security light's gone on, it switches darker. Literally just like a light switch, it got darker. We all sort of went, what happened there? And obviously turned around because we thought security light had gone off. It was still on. So just when you think things can't get a little bit strange, I mean, is that unexplained phenomena? There were no moon, so there's no moon gone over a cloud just to sort of make, no cloud gone over moon just to sort of make this a little bit darker and a little bit more mysterious. It really was strange. And it's one of them that you'd have had to have been there to experience it, because it were instant. It were just like a switch. And we went from dark to darker. So, you know, I mean, is that true unexplained phenomena? Is that what we're going up there for? Obviously not, but it was still interesting. It was still an interesting thing to be amongst and to experience. We found it that way anyway. Anybody got any views on that? Anybody got any questions for me? Because I'm just sat here rambling on, but not to worry, because I've got an interesting story to share with you guys. And it's from 2021. And if I see a question, I won't stop the story, but I'll just hover over it. And then we'll get to something here. So I'm going to call this guy James. Oh, well, we've got a question here, but I'm just going to over. We've started this now. It's like the university challenge. I've started, so I'll finish. Is that the one that it used to be on? I'm not certain. Right. So this guy happens to be a friend of my son-in-law. I didn't find that out until afterwards. But anyway, let's just do this. So one day in March 2021, it was a clear blue sky, no wind or clouds, or other meteorological activity. At the time, I was accompanied by my partner, who was also with me metal detecting. I love this story. It's interesting, this one. And I've never told anybody before. This one's a new one for you guys. And, well, it's new to me as well. Walking towards a certain area in a field, and this is on the Wolds, East Yorkshire Wolds, literally 12, 15 miles from where I'm sat now. Field, I found a small broken silver, is it denarius coin? It was well worn. I'm assuming that's a silver coin. Upon walking towards a certain area in a field, I found a small broken silver denarius coin, well worn. So whether he's metal detecting or whether he just stumbled across this, I don't know. Whether it's on surface, my gut feeling is this is metal detecting. Upon passing over it to show my partner while she was holding a large upon passing over it, to show my partner whilst she was holding it, a large distorted humanoid shape ran past her from behind diagonally. Imagine that, almost like predatorish. That's weird, isn't it? You know, it could quite easily be seen as some sort of dust devil, but in this instance, it was a human shape running. So he's given us a great picture there. He's painted a really good picture of what we're looking at there, or what you were looking at, and that in itself is fascinating. Sunny day, great weather conditions, no wind. Described it as it could be seen as a dust devil, but it's a human-shaped dust devil. Right, I remember it very vividly. A cross between a shadow and a distortion of heat haze. The first thing we experienced after seeing this was an intense feeling of trespass and disturbing someone. That's interesting, isn't it? I find it interesting anyway. So let's just move on a little bit. Although we do have permission to be on the land from the farmer, I've not shared my experience with anyone else for fear of ridicule. That's par for the course, isn't it, guys? Everybody's sort of frightened of being laughed at when you share these experiences. I have returned to the field sporadically over the years and still had the same intense sick feeling in my stomach. That's possibly due to the experience, the way he felt that day, I think, more than the experience or the phenomena still being there. But what do I know? On one occasion, I nearly passed out with nausea as the electric feeling inside me was so intense. Literally seconds after seeing this, literally seconds after this feeling, I walked over and found another silver denarius coin. Okay. Hadrian, which suggests a long time period of occupation. Obviously, I know nothing about metal detecting or significant finds of coins, but it's interesting that this stuff's up there on Wolds, isn't it? And then it's almost as though there's a guardian or something. He felt that feeling of trespass. The feeling I had burning in the back of my neck was of being watched or being followed. I also, on another occasion, I took a friend metal detecting in the same area and explained our experience some years before and was dismissed by him. Okay. Shortly after this, we also experienced very strange phenomena of a loud roaring sounds with no wind, planes or birds in the area. So this is one particular pocket. I'll be honest with you guys, I've not found out where this is. I know it's on Wolds. I have a rough idea, but I would like to know kind of exact location here, because there's some kind of paranormal activity happening without a doubt. Right. He rarely, this is his friend, goes into the field, and at the time he looked petrified. So obviously he's took his friend in who sort of denied him this story and said he must have made it up with the dust devil show humanoid figure that passed. But then he was with his friend when he heard the roaring and the strange sounds. I saw him last year and recounted the incident moment for moment. The strangest part is that I spoke to a family friend whose father worked on a local farm close by and claimed he saw figures walking diagonally across the road one summer's night. This was in the late 1950s, close to the location, after the war. Apparently, he spoke a little of it. Apparently, he spoke very little of it as it disturbed him so much. The bit that made my heart pound was the fact that he explained exactly where the location was, and it made me realise that maybe me and my partner had actually seen something, because prior to that we began to doubt ourselves. Right, let's see what we got. On Boxing Day 2024, we went for a late night walk to the location which my friend had mentioned. Whilst there, our LED torch began to behave erratically and a hot atmosphere surrounded us. We quickly turned round and returned absolutely spooked. I decided to do some research and discovered that both points where we had these experiences lined up with well-known beacon sites. So sites of significance dating back hundreds of years. That's brilliant, if not thousands. And also an almost perfect ley line that follows the A15 all the way to the east coast, intercepting various burial grounds and burial mounds across the wolds. And that's fascinating, isn't it? You know, the ancient peoples sort of lined these things up, and there's strange phenomena occurring in these areas, such as Arras Hill, ARRAS, Arras Hill, and I'm talking within 15 meters over that ley line that appears nearly 100 miles long. I'm quite alarmed. Oh, there's much more to this. Yep, that's about it. So I don't know what you guys think. I mean, he's seen some. It almost sounds like what's the film where they were in Egypt and all the dust devils, and they all turned to some kinds of figures charging at people. I can't remember. For the Mummy, weren't it? Of course I can remember. Let's have a look at this. Let's Liam Wilkinson. Let's have a look. Paul, anything new from the Thorn Moors near Donny where the hairy creature was spotted? No. And this story goes back to probably, I want to be as close as I can be. And I think we're 2017, 2018, and there was a guy there shooting with permissions, all licensed, and he was on the Thorn Moors, and I don't know if people know this area very well. It's not heavily wooded or thickly wooded, but he said just between some gorse bushes, you know, the gorse with the yellow flowers, he's sort of walking about on there doing what he does, and just in front of him, past between the gorse bushes, was an upright creature, fur-covered creature. Absolutely terrified him. It paid no attention to him. It walked past in between two bushes, in between some gorse, and frightened him to death. What were interesting, and I've spoke to him several times over the years, this fella, he said it looked like it had just stepped out of a salon. I don't mean it had hair dye and rollers in, but he said it was just perfect. The fur on it was sort of bouncing as it walked. He said it just looked in absolutely pristine condition. But that's all I've got from there, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you what's interesting, jumping away from that, you guys may remember, we just put that short on with myself and James Coppett when we went into Raincliffe Woods in the snow. And James was retelling some of these amazing stories of this black shadow type being that appeared on the boardwalk that parallels the River Derwent, and said that this thing ran and just sort of evaporated through a couple. And then he'd got reports of it on the road that parallels the Derwent, which would be other side of this boardwalk. Well, since then, I spoke to a guy this morning, and he's told me that his sister has actually seen a figure on that road. The figure of no detailed description, just a figure appearing on the road in front of a car, it's fascinating. And then I went up there with Chris Wright last week, and Chris had not seen the shot until the day before, you know, what I'd put on with James. And he tells me that his brother-in-law 15 years ago, and I'm going to, hopefully, I haven't asked Chris yet, but I'm hoping to speak to this man. His brother-in-law, his wife, and I think his young family, I don't know, one child or two, in the car 15 years ago, driving along that road in the night, and a figure just appeared. They all three people saw it in the road. They didn't see no calves. They only saw it from its thighs up and just a dark figure, and it were beckoning them to stop. He put the brakes on, and apparently the other side of the road, coming in the opposite direction on a bend, was a car coming on his side of the road. So it avoided an head-on collision. So when I spoke with James a few weeks ago when we were in the snow up there, and James was saying, that there's been accidents on this road and, and this figure's been seen, I immediately thought, well, this is ill intent. Maybe there's something not right about this figure that's appearing on the road, and it almost seems tricksterish in a bad way. But stand corrected. If Chris's brother-in-law is correct, this thing was almost like a warning for him to slow down, because apparently if he hadn't have slowed down, he would have had an head-on crash with the car coming other way. So that's fascinating in itself, guys, isn't it? So from one account that we put on a few weeks ago, I don't know if it's not even been on a few weeks, to be honest with you. It's not even been on a week. 2 stories have surfaced. How many more are out there? But bearing in mind that this road is really, really remote, isn't it? Let's have a look, see if there's any more questions. And if not, we'll have a look, do another little story. Let's have a look. There's Rod. I love Rod's thumbnail. I only put your question up because I like that thumbnail, Rod. I'm not even interested in your question. No, I am, honestly. Right, Paul, have you ever considered regression? People have mentioned it in past, Rod, and no, I'm not bothered. I mean, somebody said something really interesting. Let's assume the things that happened in childhood, night people. Let's assume that I can't remember, because it's best I don't remember, because what I do remember as a child frightened me to death. So, I'd probably don't want to remember any more about it, and I know some people do, and there's probably fors and against for it, but no, I don't really want to remember. I honestly thought when I wrote that book, when I wrote Night People, because it were going to be a deep dive into, trying to remember everything that had happened from childhood to present day. I thought I was going to remember loads and loads of stuff, and I didn't. I couldn't really get. There were two things in it, and I've said it to you guys before. 2 minor things really that I remembered that resurfaced, but other than that, there were nothing. Let's have a look. So as regards regression, no, we'll kick that one into touch, Rod. But send us another question. We can have another look at your thumbnail. Let's have a look. No, it's not there. Look, that's mine. Let's have a look here. Maverick, the MOD and other intelligence services in the UK and US have commented that the UFO phenomena and perhaps elements of the high strangeness are demonic in nature. Are they being fed by energy stroke thoughts? That's a great question. And there's a lot of people latching on. Years ago, I'm not sure what year. I mean, we're not going back a lot of years, but probably 4 years ago, I spoke at a conference in Blackpool. Yeah, I think it was when we showed Wolflands, myself and Les, and Les came with me. And they did an interview with me, so I don't know, Gaia or whatever, and they asked me how we'll get to your question, Maverick. They asked me how I'd like to be, what I'd like to be known as in a UFO researcher, cryptid researcher. I said, none of them. And I said, this is multi-phenomena. This is multi-phenomena research. And I did word it like that, and I've always thought that. But I tell you what, there's no end of researchers now saying the same thing. And they realise, and as I've said loads of times, and I'm sure many, many people in this chat tonight, I'm sure many of you guys are thinking on the same lines, that there's a thread of the sameness running through it all. So, there's room for everybody within the subject. And if your chosen subject happens to be, I don't know, ghost hunting, I don't know why people say hunting, really. So we never hunt them, do we? But you know what I'm talking about. Or if it's cryptids or UFOs, there's elements that bleed through into all the genres. Now, demonic in nature, whether it's demonic, I don't know. There's good and bad within the subject, because I mean, I've spoke to people who told me that they've had nothing but amazing experiences, and I can't call them or sort of shout them down because the experiences I had in childhood were horrible. That doesn't mean that everybody's experience is going to be horrible, does it? It'd be wrong of me to do that. But I do wonder if it's the same intelligences that gave me these bad experiences that are also giving some people the good experiences. I don't, and maybe it's like good cop, bad cop, and maybe we're just being given the experiences because, I don't know, maybe the fear that I exhibited or exuded as a child, maybe interested them. Maybe it were an higher fear level. I'd never been as frightened in my life of what I saw back then. And I still haven't, and were they demonic? I think in Night People, I said, I don't know what these things are. I don't know whether they're angels, aliens, or demons. Let's face it. I mean, everybody looks upon angels as angelic and being wonderful beings, and I'm not going to say that they're not. But apparently, there's some bad experiences with that type of entity as well. Weren't Lucifer an angel? So I don't know. So were they demonic? I don't know. There were times as a child, I'd this little single bed, no central heating, tug, not even a duvet cover. If you're old enough, you'll remember what I mean. We like that frayed cord, and I would bunch myself up into a little ball. And I've said it before, if I could have climbed through the wall, I would have got through the wall. I swear to you, I would have up on the pillow. I was that terrified of what was going to come. And it never came. And we're never ready for it. You were in the experience, or it was just about over by the time you'd realised it were happening. But where am I going with it? There were also times when I heard voices. And I don't think I'm schizophrenic, by the way. I don't hear people talking to me now. These were voices in my ear, not in my head. And they were speaking in another language. And it was, I don't know what it was. It was slow motion and it were horrible. And I'd have said that were demonic. I'd have said that were demonic. Are they fed by energy, fed by thoughts? Maybe that's the outcome of what we visualize comes from our own thoughts. I think about the things that people see in the forests and the heavy woodlands, the cryptid type creatures. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this is it. It's not set in stone. But when you're in there in dark, you get lots of dark thoughts. If you try walking through a woodland and not, some people do it, and some people just never flinch. They're better than me. I mean, and I've spent lots and lots of time on those cliff tops on my own. I've spent lots of time in woodlands and in Danesdyke and other places on my own in the night at 3 and 4 in the morning. But it's usually 4 in the morning, to be honest with you, because I like to go an hour before it gets light and what have you. But you get loads of thoughts, lots and lots of thoughts. And what if whatever it is that is this unknown other can read those thoughts? And maybe it's not even wanting to frighten us. What if it shows us what we're thinking? I don't know. And maybe I'm talking rubbish, because my wife says I speak loads of that. So, and there's a lot of people think I do as well. If you don't like me, then you're a fan. If you're watching this now, I like that, don't you? If you don't like me and you're watching this, you're a fan. But anyway, for the most part, I like everybody in here. So this is brilliant. Let's have a look. Oh, 365 people. That's brilliant. Thank you. Let's have a look. Martin James. Paul, I saw one of your podcasts today, and it was you sat in Danesdyke and you heard a noise. Was the noise there? Was the noise there? Hope you can remember. There's been a few times, Martin, we picked a noise up when I did a pod. Is this a podcast or... And I might not get to your question, by the way, if you answer it. So I'll just throw it out there. Is it one of them little short where I would just walk and talk? Because I was sat in Dyke, me and little dog, and this is spring last year, and there were a strange noise which we picked up, and that were caught on audio. But then last year Chris Turner came, Lee, who's moderating now. I think Martin Abbas were there. There were a few people, Linny. Come on, Chris, 40 and 23. Chris were there, and somebody said my name, and we picked it up on said Paul. Granted, there's a lot of people there. Somebody could have said Paul, so we've also got that discrepancy. But somebody said my name. None of us thought that anybody had said it, and I turned around and So did somebody say Paul? And we got that. So is that the one you're on about? The voice phenomena, Martin, is really, really interesting because we're getting a lot of that. I said earlier when we opened this up tonight, there's not a lot happened up there. But I correct myself, and Linny will know this. He came round last week, and we were just looking at a few bits of footage, little bits of footage that really don't mean a great deal. Yet, if you were doing a TV program, they'd be playing it as though it were brilliant. Like, and Linny rightly said, we're not looking for that now. In fact, I've loaded a few bits of footage up that have not really that much importance. I'm going to show you guys in a minute. That'll bring us to it. But I were up there. Linny's to my right. I can't think Mark might have been to the left of me. And as I'm talking, I went, somebody's just said Paul in my ear. And I heard it. And we've got it on film. We've got it on the cameras picked it up. But the difficulty there, guys, is there's probably 4 or 5 people there. So as much as there's a voice that goes, Paul, which is what you can hear, anybody out there, including all you guys sat listening to this, everybody could think, well, they've just said that. So you don't leave yourself wide open, but it's just difficult. Where do you define proof, and where do you think to yourself, they're just making it up? But we're not. Okay, let me just move away from this for a moment. I've probably not answered your question there, Martin, but sorry about that. So we've got lots and lots of footage, and there's footage that I've taken over years up on Wolds. And before I came on here tonight, I just grabbed 3 pieces of footage. There's one, the end one's not my own, it's one that somebody has sent me, and I've not showed it to anybody, and it's really interesting. And this is at Speeton, Reeton stroke Speeton. They're on way, and you can see Speeton Cliffs. And then there's one, you'll hear myself, Pete, Linny, all of us, Chris Mack, talking about the little spheres of light that we've seen. And we set cameras up and we try, but I didn't realize I'd actually got a bit of footage with the spheres on. And I know that Linny must have this footage as well. It's in silence because one at team was swearing a lot. Wonder who that was. Is he there, Linny? I'm only asking you, Linny, if you remember who it was. So I'm going to put this on. It's not the smoking gun of ufology, but these spheres, let me assure you, this wasn't one of us, or the team, should we say, stood in a field, putting a little light on. Now, I've condensed it because otherwise there'd have been 6 or 7 minutes of 3 minutes between a little sphere and another 3 minutes between a little sphere. So nobody wants any of that. So I'll just put this one on now and just have a watch, see what you think. Have a watch. Can you actually say that? There we go. That blue light. So you saw that. That's not us. It's grainy, obviously. I want to get to that in a moment. And that's the hill behind you where, what do we see? Lots of activity. And we'll get to that. And now Gemma, I want to just put Gemma down there. I'll just make a note of that. She's in chat, but she's not going to come on and talk, obviously, because she wouldn't do that. But these lights are not people with lights. These are occurring. And we don't have tons and tons of this type of footage, but that I can assure you it's the real deal. As I say, I've reduced sound because, well, I just have. And let's just get rid of that for a minute. So what do you think to that? I mean, like I said before, it's not the smoking gun of ufology, but if we're telling the truth, then these lights are appearing. There's a lot of space in between those lights appearing, and we're on the top stand there looking down towards what would be the visitor centre on the right and the hill further down. But for the people that say, oh, look how grainy footage is, that's very dark. These are low light cameras, like between 700 and £1,000. These little Psionics cameras, or they were then the Pro. And Linny must have some of this footage as well because he's speaking about it at the same time as me. So he probably knows where it is, but there might be a little bit more, a slightly different angle to take on that one. But that's fascinating. But that's in complete darkness. It's really dark, and that camera's just absorbing as much light as it can. So I don't know what you guys think of that. There's another bit of footage from Wolds, but I'll just have a look if we've got. I don't mean a question relating to that, because I realise I'm going down slower than what this information is. Watch Linny's Awakening presentation on Steve Mears' channel, was brilliant. Found the sky flashing incident really interesting. I've seen similar in Gothland, brilliant, towards Fylingdales. I'm not surprised, mate, and that's really, really good of you. I'd love to hear more about that. And yeah, it's a great presentation, and well, it is. There's footage on there it's just brilliant. It's really good, from the sphere that Ian managed to capture on thermal, to the flashes of light that we didn't see that. Remember, that was just a glitch that were worked on, and we've not added no light to it, not one scrap of light. It's just a glitch that was so quick that we never even noticed it, but when you slow it down frame by frame, you've got that effect. So yeah, it's really, really good, that. Yeah. And so Gothland, once again, a place of great interest and close to all the areas of ice strangeness as well. I spent some time in Gothland, and I don't know whether it were ice strangeness, I'll be honest with you, but we sort of spent, I don't know, about 4 days in a farmhouse at Gothland, when probably about, it's got to be 7 or 8 years ago. And we took one of our Gemma's kids with us as well, and Noah came. And while we were there, he slept in the same room as us. And while we were there that night in this cottage just on edge at North Yorkshire Moors with some woodland at back of us, I did hear a sound like wing beats. It was heavy, right heavy. Tried to describe it as like, when washing's on a washing line and it's sort of flapping, going mad, on a windy day. Well, that's the noise that I heard. And we're in the middle of nowhere. We've got this beautiful farmhouse that there's a big group of people. We've hired it, family, not for a weekend, for about 4 days. And that were fabulous. It were really, really good. And I heard that. And Nick, Jess, my daughter's husband, he heard it as well. Obviously, that he's in a different part at farmhouse. But let's jump back to that hill and that where we saw those spheres of light. That location, I believe, is an area of significance when it comes to Unexplained. That's where Mark, and I know I'm going over things that we've done before, but I don't think it's invalid. It's good to do this. That's where Mark traced the contours of the land with his torch. Imagine looking at that hill in the distance. I'm not going to put it on for long, but I'll just put it on again. So you see that hill? Obviously, Mark were closer to it than that. So he traced the contours of the land with his torch, and above the hill, his torch just literally switched on a little moon. It were there in a clear sky, and it were there for a second, and he went, oh, and I saw it, and only me and him saw it. Switched off, and now, I don't mean you can't stop him, but for a bloke who never used to use a torch, when he went down there, he's just doing it all the time, hoping to get a repeat performance of that. But Gemma's doing moderating tonight, and Gemma, in between moving, probably, I don't know what year it was, Gemma. I'm thinking 2017, 2018, I could be wrong. But in between moving properties, she stayed at ours. Not interested in programs that her mum watches on TV and stuff. So I said I were off up to Cliffs, and there were myself and Bob Brown and Gemma. She came up with us. And some people will have heard this, some people won't. But I'm setting a camera up out to sea, hoping it's going to be ready if we ever see these lights, and never am. And they're looking at that hillside. There's Bob and Gemma. And she's got my torch, and she just traces it on hill, and not above the hill, just on the land. And she said, "What's that there, Bob? What's that there?" There's a glowing white square about as big as a piece of A4. You know the score. And he said, "I think it's a sign on a post." And then he realised there's no signs on post. There's nothing on post. Put his torch on, and they both said it just dropped at floor and vanished. So, what's all that about? Some of this does not conform to what people would think unexplained phenomena should be. But I think that we should always, the rule we should take away with us is expect anything, expect the unexpected, because it's throwing everything at us. Just like I said a week last Friday, walking down there, I don't know whether Pete, I don't know whether Lineard thinks same. You know, I've not said flatly, do you think that were unexplained phenomena? But it literally, just like a light switch, when you go into a room and you switch the light off or you switch it on, it was that the contrast, the change was that sudden. It was dark, it just became darker. And we all just went, what was that? So expect the unexpected. Let's just have a look. Oh, we got 391 in. I'd love to get 400 in chat. You never know, do you? But anyway, let's just... you've seen similar in Gothland. Let's just do this one because I almost missed that. Do you think that ice strangeness has evolved as human? Yes, I do. Yeah, Maverick. Yeah. Do you guys in chat? That's the thing. Do you has our vocabulary has evolved as well? The phenomena. We need to invent new words for the things that are happening, because the things that are happening are different. So, and they really are. I mean, I think Nathaniel Gillis is as on the ball as anybody in world, not in America, in world. I've also got time for Nathaniel and his sort of out of the box thinking when it comes to this kind of thing. And he's calling it new names, the phenomena itself of what he's, and don't ask me to think of them off the top of my head, but that's what he's doing. And I think it's needed. I think we need new words and more out of the box thinking, because it is evolving. Yeah, it is, definitely. Don't you think though that the shape of the UFO is changing? The explanations, that's what's interesting. The explanations put forward by science and academia to explain what Paul Sinclair's seen, to explain what you guys in chat have seen, the explanations put forward are changing and evolving. And if those explanations, say 30 or 40 years ago, were bona fide back then, why aren't they now? Well, do you know when it's a weather balloon, strange atmospherics, we did the Chinese lanterns, probably 2006 to 2011, everything was explained away as a Chinese lantern. So if all these explanations were the valid thing by sort of highbrow, scientific minds, that's what people are seeing, and it's misidentified. Well, why aren't they valid now? Why are we going on to other things and other explanations now? So that's not answering your question. Do you think ice strangeness has evolved as human? I think it has, yeah. And I don't know. Maybe that's the natural progression. Maybe it's only evolving, Maverick, at our pace. And if we're back in the Stone Age, I don't know. Or maybe it's always been the same, and maybe we're just looking at it differently as we're evolving, and maybe the phenomena's not evolved. I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? And I think I don't know is a good thing to say, really, sometimes. It's no good trying to sound eyebrow and all-knowing when you actually know bugger all. And I don't mind saying that, because I just can't stand listening to people, that come with all the answers, and I will tell you what this is, and I will tell you what that is. Well, I will tell you, who are telling me, when you've stood in cold locations, hours and hours, hoping to catch a glimpse of the phenomena, and then gone home and the phenomena is there, you realize, once again, expect the unexpected, but you realize that these things can occur anywhere, any place. We know we go up onto those cliff tops hoping to see it, but there's a lot of times that the phenomena is, I won't say visiting us, but it's there with us. It's just a thought process away. Jumping back to Gemma, and she'll not probably want me talking about this, thinking, God, he's on about me again. So jumping back though, she saw the square, or the what she perceived as a sign on a post. But that is the night that when she came back to us, she's watching a film in the little TV room. Me and her mum went to bed, and when we got up in the morning, she said she nearly came and woke us up because she sat watching the TV. Little light on there, all door, 2 double doors to the left of her, and she said she became aware, all lights are off by this little side light, became aware of a noise that she thought sounded like thunder at first. And then she turned TV down and realized that something at the back of her was growling. She said it was, then there's a brick wall at the back of her, and there's a passage at the back of that with another brick wall, the hallway, and above is a flat. but there was nobody in it because that lady had left and it was vacant. I don't know that because there are flats. So anyway, so she hears this growling, which absolutely terrified her. And she stood up. She said she could feel the vibrating of the growling in her chest. Now, when I wrote Night People, I've wrote about the experiences of myself and my family. There's hardly anything about her, who's doing moderating tonight, Gemma, in that book, because nothing happened really for Gemma. It did for Sarah, Jess and Laura, but nothing really for Gemma. There's nothing. So Gemma's not the kind of person she's helping me with moderating, just like Lee is and Alison does, because that's what she said she'd do. She can do it at the time. But what I'm saying is she's not got an avid interest in unexplained phenomena. She only came up onto the cliff tops that night because she didn't want to sit watching TV, what Mary watches, what a mum watches sort of thing. But anyway, let's move on. I could do another story, but I like these questions. Paul, have you had a recent trip, UAP reports from Edinburgh area? I haven't, Thudder, no. And so reading between lines from that, I take it there must have been a few things happening up that way, which is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, and then why not? It's everywhere, isn't it? It's absolutely everywhere. It's jumping back to Raincliffe Woods. We haven't invented the wheel here. When I went with James Coppett and we walked around the woodlands in snow, he retold a story, and on strength of that, we've got two more within a week of putting that story out. And I'd like to bet there's going to be more. So what are we doing? We're highlighting a place of high strangeness. And I know that's not exactly what you're putting there, but it's interesting. So it'd be good to know if people have been reporting stuff up around the Edinburgh area. There's some fabulous houses in Edinburgh, isn't there? We went to Rosslyn Chapel a few years ago, and then spent a day in Edinburgh. And I've been there before, obviously, because my granddad's from up there. But yeah, absolutely fabulous. Let's just move on. Annie, all the conferences I was going to this year seem to have been cancelled. Are you talking anywhere this year, Paul? If not, is there any chance we could organise a clifftop vigil for truth proofers? Do you know, a conference is something that's been spoken about quite a few times to me by various people. And should we do one? Don't jump on it because I've no plans to do one at the moment because my head's just swimming with all sorts of things. But I think there might be. I'm not going to say there's a conference or anybody who's organising one. I think there might be some conferences coming off this year. I've not been asked to talk. I've been asked to do something with Reed Summers. I haven't even chased that up. Reed, who we had on, the American guy, but obviously that's overseas. So that's not going to be in UK. But conferences and a clifftop vigil. Now, that would be good. So only thing I can think of the drawback there is I can't organise something like that because just let's think about it. These cliffs are between 200 and 400 foot, 420 at their highest. Some places there's no fence. If I suddenly said, right, we're going to organise a clifftop vigil, there's no insurances. I know we've got, it sounds a bit clinical, but that's how you've got to look at it. There's no toilet facilities. And a lot of people come up when we're on the cliffs and they're always made welcome, always. But I don't say I'm organising this tonight or I'm organising that because I'm not in a position to do that. I'll be honest with you. And if we had a bit of land up there, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, then I think that's something we would be considering and we would be doing, without a doubt. So it's a great idea, Annie. As regards clifftop vigil, though, I literally just cannot say, yeah, let's do that because I'm kind of putting myself out there as though I'm organising groups of people to come on cliffs, and I'm not doing that. I go up there with a group of friends and we do that research, they'll sort of stake out those areas and look for this phenomena. And if anybody turns up, they turn up. It's not a planned vigil. Does that make sense? I hope I haven't sort of shot anybody down with that, but I've just got to be honest about it. Let's have a look. Let's see. Xenoscape, Donna Wellham, Space Cow, Studs. Oh, it's Mark's in. Good to see you, Mark. Everybody gets a smile, by the way, but Mark, you were around at my house. If out goes wrong with my computer, and I'm just useless with computers, Mark's your man. So always great to see Mark in here. Just for computer, really. No else. I'm not bothered. Just go away now, Mark. We're not bothered. Let's have a look. We've got this this swan again. I'm reading Night People for the second time. Do you think your parents knew more about the phenomena than they let on? You know, I said something other week, and I knew what they meant right away, but I think I'd said something about, I wish I'd have spoke to him more, and somebody said The Living Years. You can remember the song The Living Years, where Mike and the Mechanics, you wish you'd have spoke more in The Living Years kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sing it, but it's a fact. It's a fact that I wish I'd have spoke to him more about these things when they were here. Because, yeah, maybe because that crazy story of the walking home in 1970/71, obviously knew something. And why didn't we speak about that? Even if he knew nothing, he'd had that experience, and she'd had it, my mum. So why didn't we speak about that? So maybe they did. Maybe they did, Rod. I just don't know. But how many people out there of the right age, should we say, if you're lucky enough to still have your parents, and I hope you have, you're in here because you've got an interest. You've either had an experience of your own, or you've got a loved one or a good friend who's convinced you that there's a reality to what we're talking about. And 402 people in chat, brilliant. Thanks for support, guys. And can I just say, if you've just come to the channel and you've not subscribed, unless you think we're absolute rubbish, consider just pressing like and subscribe. Really appreciate that. It's literally there on your phone or on your laptop, on your computer, and it's totally free. So, give us a bit of support. Really appreciate that. So where are I going with that? If you're in here because you've had your own experience and your parents are still with you, or close loved ones, and it's something you're not really even sure about broaching with them, not even sure about talking to them about, unless you really think it's going to really cause a family rift, consider doing it. I know things are difficult to talk about. Some subjects are really hard to talk about. This subject with Night People, it's there, isn't it? I didn't speak about this to Mary, my wife. And we'd probably got, I know we'd got a couple of kids before I started going into detail about what had happened in childhood, even though a few things, strange experiences had happened to us while we were, early in our marriage, should I say. I don't know if I told you guys before we even got married. I know I told some people. My mum and dad they were pretty religious about what they did, and he'd finish work at a certain time, get a shower or a bath, and then they'd go to this pub in Dennerby called the Rearsby Arms. So that if there's anybody from there who'll know it, it might have gone now, I don't know. But its nickname was the Pig. But it was, I'm not going to lie. It was nicer to set Rearsby Arms, weren't it? I've put that image in you. But anyway, Rearsby Arms, it was called Pig because I think at the back of it there were an abattoir, or they used to be. Anyway, it's interesting, isn't it? But anyway, I think they cured alt mortar for the Conisbrough Viaduct with... I've got to be careful what I say here. YouTube don't like certain things. Right, so they used to go to the pub, the Rearsby Arms. Pig. And I remember TV programme, so we can take you all the way back to that. It were Faulty Towers, which I used to love. So we sat in this little 3-bedroom semi-detached house in front of a gas fire because there's no central heating. We're just like that. Gas fire, Faulty Towers is on. And Mum and Dad had gone to Pig. And I said to Mary, shall we go upstairs? I'm probably only going to do a jigsaw or something. You know what I mean? That's the standard thing, innit? So that's what we were going to do, jigsaw. But I no sooner said that, and there's only TV light on, when a voice between us went, "Why?" Well, I looked at Mary, and I swear to you, and she's thinking same as me. Who the hell said that? It were in room with us. It were between us. And I wrote about it in Night People. I think I call it the Mighty Why, because 3 letters, 1 word. It had so much power, it frightened us to death because somebody spoke to us in room. And since then, and not on the strength of that story, but people have wrote to me over years. It would have been great to have put a few of these up, to be honest, wouldn't it? People have wrote to me over years and said, they've been in these situations, sometimes dire situations, desperate situations, and something spoke to them. And it's fascinating, and it's fascinating, sometimes amazing, and sometimes terrifying to think that something in this outer nowhere might be here now outside of me, or you guys. That's a terrifying thought, isn't it? Let's face it. Right, let's have a look here. The mighty Y. Let's get this swan picture off. You're overindulging with that swan picture, I think, there, Rod. If you've put a question in, I'm just skipping through them, not deliberately. If you've not put them in capitals, because right, let's have a look. Is the stretch of road near the crossing where you and Linny saw the flashes of light en route to or from Bempton the same area where the light? Yes, it is. We've seen that flash of light twice now. I thought there were about 12 months in between. I think Linny said there's 9 months, and it were on his dash cam that it were picked up both times. I looked at Linny's presentation today, which is worth looking at. It's great. And I looked at the comments, and somebody put, what did they put? It's two middle-aged men. I liked it. You give me a compliment there, mate. You call me a middle-aged man. Well, unless I'm going to live till I'm about 132, I'm not middle-aged, am I? No, 126. But I'm not middle-aged. But anyway, thank you for the comment. Two middle-aged men, not larking about, but larping about. And we looked at, I'd actually seen my own brake light, because I stopped my car after I'd seen red flash. I stopped the car, and Linny pulled up behind me, and I told him I'd seen this flash. Now that the presentation it's not been altered. It's all the presentation, but the actual layout of those flashes is different to how the presentation were put together, because Linny's presentation, I put all of it together for him. And so it's not in running order that I put it up in. So that might have had some influence on what we're seeing, but they're not brake lights. I saw the red flash up there, and the other one, Linny saw. I never saw it, and how the hell anybody could construe that as brake lights? If I'll get Linny on, and we'll go through some of this again in next week or two if he wants to come on, because that light that he managed to catch, that he saw that I missed, that's just like a light explosion of light. So it does make me wonder sometimes where people come to these conclusions. Sometimes the explanation for a strange event is more ridiculous than what the actual person who's experienced it's trying to say. But anyway, that's my little take on it. So that's not even what you asked, is it? Is the location close? Yeah. Interestingly, both the flashes of light were on nights when it were wet, when we'd had some rain. Which is interesting. And where Linny's dash cam caught the figure running across the road is probably 200 yards at tops away from that. 150 to 200 yards away. So we've got a strange little area there in a way, haven't we? And I wonder how many other people. I mean, I caught the flash of red light as I was driving through. Linny didn't see it. I stopped car and asked him. I said, I hope your CCTV's caught it. And then he caught one that I didn't see that I should have done, because it looks like an explosion. But I wonder how many other people. It's that brief. It's such a blink of an eye kind of situation. I wonder how many other people have experienced that. Interestingly, and Mark knows about this, who comes on cliff tops. It's called Newsham Hill as you go down into Bempton Village. And I need to get this right. Mark, because he might be listening to this, and I don't want to get his story wrong. Mark was talking to the man who's got it looks like a little small holding to the left-hand side as you're going into Bempton. I think there's a couple of horses and some sheep in a field just a bit further up. So it's just parallel in road. And he was talking to a man there. Don't ask me year. Once again, probably 2017, 2018. And the man's just getting his horse ready to put into its stable. And suddenly it reared up. And he let go of the horse. And Mark said that the power cables, which aren't very big, they've just got I think there's just 2 cables running the length of the road all the way up. He said suddenly they all started dancing, like blue sparks coming off them, up all the way up them. And all the sheep went into the top corner of the field. It's a true story, this. And what happened were documented in, I think it were in Bridlington Echo. Not to do with animals, but this is the story. This is sort of a backstory to what happened. They had a power cut because he said suddenly there's a huge crack as a tree just broke in half as though it had been hit by lightning, and it fell onto lines. It fell onto the power lines, but the blue sparking was before the tree broke. The horse reared up before the tree broke. The sheep went into the top of the field before the tree broke, but then the tree broke in half and fell onto the power lines and knocked power off to part of Bempton. So is that unexplained phenomena? It could be some natural phenomena. It's possible that part of that branch were touching those cables prior to it and they just never noticed it. But that's on the same stretch of road. Took a long time to get to that, didn't it? Was it worth it? I'm not sure it was. Right, anyway, let's just go up here a little bit. I've got a couple more bits of footage, so I want to get them in for you guys. All right, let's have a look. So Xenoscrape. You don't need regression. It'll traumatize you, methinks. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, don't rock the boat. I absolutely think you're right. And there's maybe things that you don't need to remember. What I remember, it doesn't traumatize me now, but there were a lot of years that I just spent every night turning it over in my head, trying to get a little bit closer to what happened, a little bit further than just seeing them either side at bed. Do you know? And I just can't get any further. And I wish, here I am, and so to correct myself, I wish I could remember naturally. So, because I know I was stepping into a trap there when I said I wish I could remember, because regression could help you, but I don't want to force it. If something just comes back to me, I've no choice ever. I'll remember it, won't I? So I think you're right there, mate. Absolutely. So before we look at another question, I were on Wolds with Steve Ashbridge. I don't know, 2009. We were up there probably 2006 to about 2011. We spent a lot of time up there, up at Cottam and around those areas. And we filmed all sorts of things. And I've got it. There's a box with the I don't know what tapes they are. It's a digital. It's a Sony VX2100 camera. So it was an expensive camera in its day. Expensive for me. A couple of £1,000, probably worth about £2 now. And it had them small tapes. And I've got a box full of tapes of this kind of stuff. So when you talk about, and this is a static light, even though I'm moving about, I'm holding a camera, and it's an hefty lump, that camera, to be honest with you. So this was taken at a place called Fimber, which is close to, on way to Sledmere. And there's a lot of strangeness around the area of Fimber, which I think I wrote about in book 2. There's a valley there that there's strange lights seen and all sorts of things, and the Beesendale lights and things. So I'll just put this bit of footage on for you guys and see what we do here. Let's have a look. I don't know if you can hear me. I think you can.
Yeah.
Lights next to each other, but it's not moving, is it?
But at the very end, I pull back so that, because I want to give people a reference. That's a car passing that makes me kind of move about a bit.
Yeah.
In a minute. There were no sound, but it's a good distance away.
Stationary, innit?
I don't know what that is. Oh, it is moving, isn't it? Or is it?
I'm just going to get it lined up with a light.
I mean, in a property below, but so you can just see outline at land.
No.
Okay. So it's not, like I said, it's not the smoking gun of ufology, but we've got loads and loads of footage like that. As I say, I've got a box full of these tapes that's just crammed with footage that we got, myself and Steve got on the Wolds. And there's one that I've been looking for. What did they used to call it? Fire Summit. I don't know, to put the data on. I haven't got that now to sort of upload the information. I can't think what they call it, to be honest with you. But anyway, it'll come to me. because I want to sort of get a lot of this back onto the computer to put a bit of it out and let you guys have a look. And it's not brilliant quality, as you can see, but there's one when I'm on road to back from Scarborough to Bridlington, and there were a low-flying aircraft. I think it was a DC-9, and I'm not familiar with aircraft, to be honest with you, the twin prop thing. And it were low flying, and I was told it were mapping area, and it were flying very low. It looked like it were like lower than the area of RAF Staxton Wold as it were flying, and it were up and down for days. People were commenting on it on social media. I think there's something in the newspaper about it as well, but no great mystery. But I filmed it. I stopped the car and filmed it, and I've got an object that passes it, and I just can't find that bit of footage. And I've not just looked for months and months. I've looked on and off when I've sort of got that old camcorder and shoved a tape in, and you start looking at it, hoping you can find it, and I can't find it, but I will do. And anyway, I'm sort of rambling, aren't I? Let's just go down here a bit. Okay, guys, 414. I'm really impressed with that. I really thank you for the support. And my assistant's just got me a cup of tea. There you go. Thank you very much. She's gone now. Yeah, I hope she gets me another one before I've done, but there you go. Right, let's have a look. People think I'm sarcastic for some reason. I don't know why. It's probably because I am. Right, Curious Kitty. Hi, Paul. Staying in the area in our myth. Going to walk at Rain in a month. Yeah. Going to walk Raincliffe Woods and Skipsey. Going to the Beeford Chinese. Will the Chinese be our best chance of a scary experience? Oh, hey, don't get me talking about that. I'll be getting into trouble. I've never been to that Chinese, to be honest with you, so I don't know. I couldn't possibly say. But I'll tell you what, Beeford's an interesting area. You know, you can pull stories out from all over the place. But if you go through Beeford, and be very careful when you go to Beeford, it's a known spot for speed cams. So just be really careful. It's 30 mile an hour all the way through Beeford, and make sure you're doing 30 mile an hour. So, and likewise, if you go to Flamborough and you go to the North Landing, and you say you want to view Skye, you want to look at Northern Lights or whatever, don't matter what time of day you go, pay. If not, you'll get a fine. And that's the truth of it. So, yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't pay in car parks, by the way, but you'd think to yourself, well, it's 9 o'clock at night. There's no gates on it. I'm okay. No, it'll get a picture of you and you'll get a fine. Excuse me. Beeford. So go through Beeford. You're on this, what's called the Beeford Strait, and you come to a place called Whalley Cross, where they sell, I don't know, foods and pet foods and things, I think. But I got a story from Whalley Cross years ago. It was Christmas time, and our working on building sites. So we're going back to 2011, between 2009, 11. This guy and his partner, and I know him, I still see this fella. I'm not seen him for about 6 months, but regardless, they're off to Hull Christmas shopping. So they've just come through Beeford, and as they're coming through and they're looking at this beautiful starlit night, they know that above the road towards Whalley Cross, which would probably be, I don't know, a mile away, 3/4 of a mile, they can see lights low over the road. And as they're approaching, sometimes because as you go around a few bends and whatever, you lose sight of it, but it's still there. And they get right underneath it eventually, and they stop the car and they're looking up at it. Said it almost sounded like a diesel engine just ticking over, but it was 3 balls of light. Now, is that a drone? Let's not rule that possibility out. But he said it were 3 balls of gold light low. He said other drivers were looking up at it as well. It's still a UFO in true sense of the word. If we can't, unidentified flying object, UAP, whatever you want to call it, even if it's man-made. So that's Whalley Cross. But yeah, there's other things. There's ghostly things and cat sightings a little bit further on. You come to a place called Leven. And Linny knows all these areas as well. And there's cat sightings. A lady last week sent me some footage of a big cat, and I spoke to her yesterday. Said, could I play the footage today? And I'm not going to do, because I want to meet them. I did intend doing this at first, and then I thought, no, it would be nice to meet and maybe just have a little bit of an interview of what she saw and her experience. And because everything looks different, it's like taking a picture at moon, and it looks huge, doesn't it, when you look at it and it comes out that big. This cat, to me, and you don't hear me say this often, dear, let's face it, it looks like a big cat. It looks like a big black cat going across the fields close to Aldborough, which is a little bit further on. And but Leven, Aldborough, Skirlington, all around those places, there's cat sightings. You know, these cats that don't exist. What did me and Chris call them? We got shot down in flames. We called them panthers, black panthers. Come on, guys. We know melanistic leopard, if you want to be correct. But if I said black panther, somebody's seen a black panther to you, it'd take you straight to it, wouldn't it? You'd know straight away. But you know, it still don't cut it for some people. You've got to say the correct generic term. So let's have a look. Staying in the area, going to Raincliffe Woods. Yeah, that's good. Go to Willie Howe. That's an interesting spot. And then you're going to Skipsey. It's a bit of a contrast there, like, but why not Skipsey? UFO reports from Skipsey. It's a great place. So, and enjoy your Chinese. That's what I love Chinese, don't you? Let's have a look. See, Gemma's in, Lee Roscoe. Let's have a look. What's this? Just put truth proof into copyleft. Good description of your efforts, Paul. Thank you. I don't know what that is, Dizzy. So I'll have a look at that. Well, I probably won't because I'll forget it. I'll have to just write that down. I'll tell you what should be somewhat sarcastic. It served me right, that, wouldn't it? But no, thank you. Let's have a look. Red Fred 70. There was a story that Jimmy Carter ended up in tears when he received the alien stroke UFO briefing when he became president. They're apparently a demonic and anti-religious. I don't know. I don't know. And I realise that there's a lot of you people in chat, you've got much more knowledge than me on this kind of thing. And it's great if you've got a sort of passion for a certain element within the phenomena. And if I throw it out there because every week I struggle for people to chat. I mean, Whitley, I said the other week, Whitley Strieber said he'd come back on. But I struggle time-wise at the moment for everything. I'm so pleased to be doing this with you guys tonight. And I was going to say, well, we'll do an hour and we'll see how it goes. But it's ticking along okay, really, isn't it? I've got that other bit of footage to play as well. But I don't know about that, Fred. Do you know? And providing we didn't go too deep and too graphic, if anybody wants to come in and talk about any of that, and I'm happy to do it. And it's not that I can't. It's not that I'm such a lightweight that I can't talk about deep and graphic. We're not saying things like, jumping away from that, when the sheep fatalities were occurring, that we're not saying that word because we want to be somehow eyebrow and good about it. We're saying it because the machine that is the internet doesn't like it. So then that's as close as I'll get to that. So let's have a look. Gavin's still crazy. Okay, hi Paul. Is it possible to camp on? No, mate. Will I need any permission from anybody? Once again, you know, earlier, whoever put the question up, you know, can I organise some kind of meeting up there? I can't because, you know, actually permissions and insurances. And you imagine taking somebody on, oh, Paul's organised all this, or Linny's organised all this, and we're walking around with somebody and they slip and break an ankle, or even worse. You know, we've not got insurances for all like that. And I'd say no. Have I seen people camping around the area? I have. I don't know them, of course. I can't possibly say, could I? But personally, I would say no, you can't camp up there. But whether they do or not, that's. And do I ever see anybody up there? Is anybody policing it? I've never seen anybody up there that's sort of been authoritarian and trying to stop people doing anything like that. Because let's face it, when we're up there on a night, unless you're a rock angler and fishing conditions are right, you're on your own. There's nobody else up there. It's desolate. So that's as much as I can say, Gavin. Let's have a look. Great, these questions. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Just after New Year, we stayed in our cottage on a farm in a farm in Bempton. Yeah, I know where you are. The owner mentioned she had seen orange orbs in the sky and was aware of something in Dane's Dyke. She said she knew you too. Yeah, I know him very well. I think I do. Yeah, I think I do. And the great people. And they've got, I keep meaning to go down. There's been another sighting. So you're just saying after New Year? I don't know. There's another sighting that I need to speak to them about, and I don't know whether they watch this. But yeah, nice people. Always been good to me. Always let me park on the land. I think we're in the same cottage, if that's what kind of makes sense. And I've directed lots of people to their property over years, because it's a lovely property and a great place to stay. So yeah, they've seen the orange orbs and they're aware of something. And do you know that there's somebody up there who's lived up there a lot of years, and they'll leave their windows open in summer, the upstairs windows, because there's nobody looking onto them. You're looking onto nothing but farmland and woodland. And one particular night, they heard the howls and the screams and the mixed up sound that I've heard from quite a few people now over the years. I don't mean loads, but quite a few, particularly around October, and the sound of a human in distress, which it isn't, but that's what it sounds like, mixed with a howl, mixed with a huge, powerful lungs of something like a basset hound or something, because they can bark, make that weird noise. And that's not unlike what Dean heard in Dane's Dyke when he were working as security, which is literally the other side of where these people had seen it, the other side of the road on the other side of Dyke. And remember what Dean said? He said it was like a sonic boom going off in his chest. And he'd only took his 3 dogs, Staffordshire Bull Terriers, to walk perimeter at golf course and just at the edge of this little wood. And his dogs ran off and left him. Said they'd never been frightened of anything. I know that's jumping away and not quite what you were on about, the Bempton farmer. When I looked at that farm, I don't know, I've got Flixton in my head because I spoke to a Flixton farmer today as well this morning, and which were interesting. But that's going to be for another day. Let's have a look. Paul, have you had any recent supernatural at home in Brid? Is it still happening to you? Not like it was. No, Red, not at all. But excuse me, we're all, when I say we're all, as the team, we're hearing voices. Don't that sound weird, sat here saying it? Because you're leaving yourself open for a right sort of ear bashing, as in, as a collective. Like, I'll be speaking to somebody on phone who's got their phone on speakerphone, and the husband and wife will hear the voice, which isn't mine. So we're hearing things, and I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, I'd call these minor things happening on peripheral. Some people, they might not be minor, and it depends how it affects you. Depends how whether you hold your head together when something like that happens. Not everything's supernatural, is it? Let's face it. It could just be a glitch with phone. But it's strange. It really is strange, and it's interesting that the people who've been up there with us seem to experience something, or not always, but when they get home. We talked about the guy who saw the shadow walk onto the stand, the opposite side of him, only literally 12, 13 foot away. Didn't tell his wife. He just left with her and told her when they were driving home what he'd seen, which unnerved him. This is a guy who's a skeptic. You'll remember that I said, well, what would you consider yourself now? And he said, an open-minded skeptic. But what were interesting, that a few nights later, their son, who weren't a little boy, a young man, I think they're on a farm, said that there was something on the roof when he looked out at window in early hours of morning, squatted on the roof. Is that part of that? Is it some opportunist burglar? If it is, why get on a roof? It's not a farm building. It were a proper pitched roof. Look at that. Okay, let's have a go. So no, Fred, not really, not a lot, but it always surprises you. Before we do that, I want to show you this bit of footage. Now, I realise that, like I keep saying, we've got loads of footage, so we'll keep playing a little bit because I've probably had this footage over a year. And the guy sent it me, who'd also had an experience at up around Reeton and Speeton, and he went and he said we've seen something unusual over at sea. So I'm going to play it first bit, then I've zoomed in a little bit, then I've altered the light a little bit to show you a little bit more detail of it, and then I've done it again. But I haven't. Well, you'll see anyway. Let's just play it and see what you guys think. And I'm tipping if you comment on this, I'm probably not going to get to it, you know, because I'm not really that quick with these questions, am I? Have a look at this.
We are just on the beach, and there's a weird, like, it looks like a jellyfish cloud just moving on the beach.
That's Speeton.
And it's just really odd, mate. It's just kind of hovering, but like a slither of cloud, but moving. It was weird. We are just on the beach, and there's a weird, like, it looks like a jellyfish cloud just moving on the beach. And it's just really odd, mate. It's just kind of hovering, but like a slither of cloud, but moving. It was weird.
I probably should have played that before because I dare say somebody's going to have something to say about that. But I don't know what you think. There's some kind of haze around it. And once again, these things look a lot more spectacular when you're actually got the visual and you're not just filming it with a phone. You know, they didn't go with fancy cameras trying. I mean, it'd been absolutely incredible for us to have been up there and managed to film it with some cameras we've got now. I think you'd have had something really special there. But that, you could see at the end of each segment of that footage that you were looking to from Reeton towards Speeton Cliffs. Excuse me. So once again, it's out off that coast, isn't it? Out off that stretch of coast. So I thought that were really interesting. Let's have a look here. Yeah, you're right here. So Stephen, Lucifer the Lightbringer, Daystar wanted God's throne and was thrown out of heaven. It's fascinating. I've always wondered, Steve, and I was driving through Flixton probably 2 weeks ago, which is a little single track road on the cars, this area of wetland. And I looked and I thought, that's Steve. And I pulled up and we had a natter. The chances of meeting you up there the other week were, well, I won't say impossible, but I was surprised because I went for a walk in Flixton Woods last year. I get to top near RAF base and I bump into him there as well. So yeah, you get about, mate. But I always wondered when I went to get that phone unlocked years ago, the phone that one of daughter's phones, and there's the guy at the bottom of the street saying to me, "You're bringing down the light." Hence the title, the subtitle of that book, "Bringing Down the Light." And he says, "You've got to stop. You're bringing down the light. You're causing lots of problems." And so what you're saying then, the light bringer, I looked at the sort of terminology of what he was saying, and when you typed certain combinations of words in, it were bringing all that kind of stuff up, what you're talking about there, Steve. So yeah, it's interesting. And while I'm on with it, I may as well just do that. Truthproof.uk, if you're interested in the Truth Proof books. And or you can get them on eBay as well. To be honest with you, buying them through eBay is not a bad option because you've got a lot more guarantees. You've always got guarantees because if you buy one of these today, book or DVD, they'll be in post tomorrow morning for you. And I've got a great record of getting them out there. And if someone doesn't arrive, I'm always fair with people. But yeah, it's great. Whitley Strieber, chilling an amazing variety of cases. Nick Pope, intriguing and sinister, fascinating. Peter Robbins, Paul Sinclair yet again proves his worth. Well done. John Hanson, Paul is acknowledged as being a specialist in his own field of investigation. Howard Hughes, the amazing Howard Hughes. Didn't we love Howard? Compelling and credible, a real investigator. Derek Tyler, we lost Derek last year. Fascinating, informative, and painstakingly researched. Absolutely brilliant. Nexus magazine, Daniel Luce. The Truth Proof series is attracting a growing attention. Yeah, compelling evidence, a treasure trove of stories. Anna, Professor of Medieval Studies. I've got loads of lovely comments from people on books. So, yeah, I'm proud of them, yeah, because let's face it, all I've done up until 2009 were not nails in wood. I've never written a book. And I was thick as a whale omelette at school. Hey, you don't take yourself too seriously. If you're going to take anything from this truth proof today, never take yourself too seriously. So here we go, the light bringer. Let's have a look. Ian Linney, what's he doing? Okay, up me, and good to see you. Paul, last week while you were filming, that's true. Just, Ian, you're so right. And here's where Jack will be kicking us both up the backside, because he brought some waterproof notebooks for us. And I say it with a bit of a grin on my face, but we should be using them. We should just be putting torch on and making a note and a time and everything, because I go home and I make notes of all these things, but never as accurate as when it's just happened. So, yeah, we were up there, and word it passed. Oh, Chris Mack. Something brushed past Ian, allegedly in the darkness, and we're not in wooded area, we're on cliff tops. And Ian just said, someone's just pulled my coat. So felt the sensation of his coat being pulled. Weird things. It weren't windy. And once again, we're coming out with things that we can't prove. Do I believe Ian, by the way? Of course I do. Yeah, I do believe that if he's saying that happened, that happened. But we're still left with a situation that we can't prove. We're after a little bit more proof of something. That's why we said a few weeks ago, we've got loads of bits of footage of lights and little flashes of light, but we're wanting more than that. That's why I showed you guys these bits of lights tonight and things, because we wanted more. Incidentally, I think that footage that was sent to me that you've just watched, when you actually put a few filters on it and you can see that there's something there, I think that's really good, that. I don't know what you guys think, because I'm probably not going to get to that. But yeah, you did get that the same night, Ian, that I said somebody's just said Paul. I think it was. But let's have a go. Chris Bravo, Sam Watson, good to see you, Sam. I know you'll still need to get up there, don't we, and kick a few ideas about. And Red Squirrel Rebel, yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look. Paul, what's your favourite cryptid encounter that you've reported or heard of? I honestly believe that Broxer Forest encounter, there's some brilliant ones, and all the people, not all, that's wrong. The people that I invest time with, and people that invest time in me and Truth Proof, because it's a two-way thing, because I thank the people that come forward with these accounts because they've nothing to gain. They're all pretty sincere, I mean, I have spoke to people and thought there's something not right about this, and I'm not going to run with it, and I don't mean I'm right, I'm not. I don't always get it right, but I feel for the most part that the people that are sharing these encounters, they're really on the level. I mean, and they're so varied, they're so diverse. But I would say Broxer, to be honest with you, what them three men experienced in there, it must have been. It's something from a nightmare. And then you've got, on a totally different kind of scenario, you've got the incredible sighting that Michael had. There's Michael who was traveling to Bridlington on his electric bike, who saw the thing run across the field. That's fascinating. But then I'm talking about Michael in Danes Dyke with his partner, and she didn't see it, and he saw this thing walk across the road, and it almost transformed. It was just morphed into something. And that one's fascinating. And as much as you think to yourself, how do we get our heads around that? I don't believe that there's such a thing as lycanthropy, this transformation. But this man's on level. This man's he's got a lot of good values and good qualities. You know that through spending time with him. And as a team, we've all spent time with him now. and he's I'm not just saying it for the sake of it, is, you know, because he's told us a story. I could just shut up about it and say Michael's story was good, but no, I believe he's on the level. He's seen it, but what's happening there, I don't know. What the hell is happening when somebody talks about seeing something just stoop down and then suddenly look like it's changed into something else? It's fascinating. Favorite encounter, favorite cryptid encounter. It's difficult, isn't it? Because there's some out there. I know there's one out there at Reesty Bank, which is at top of, just up from Broxer Forest, and there's one there that's incredible. And unless the man comes forward, I've had a little taste of it, should we say, and whatever's happened has frightened him. But unless he comes forward, and I don't want to even give the tidbits of it away, but I have a feeling that that's just absolutely awesome. But as I say, we've just got to run with it first. I mean, and look at Ian's encounter in Raincliffe Woods, 1973. All those years ago, 1973. And he, as a schoolboy, and he's carried that. That's incredible. Like I said, you've got the two Michaels, you've got Ian, you've got all these other encounters that are just absolutely the spellbinding. You know, you've got Ian in the Danes Dyke, in the invalids scooter. List goes on and on. I don't really think I could have a favourite, to be honest with you, because everyone's got a bit of a unique quality to them. And I'm rambling here, aren't I? You've got me on one there, Chris. Let's have a look. This red squirrel fella. I won't be reading that word. They don't like that word. Paul, are there any animal fatality reports coming in, or have they, pardon the pun, died down? Yeah, I've not heard of anything. Mark found an interesting deer, should we say, a few weeks ago that were a bit unusual, but I've not heard of anything, Red, and I'm glad, really, because it's macabre, isn't it? You know, when I spent 2017 to 2019, 3 or 4 days a week up on a farm at back of Bempton there, at back of Danes Dyke, when you're coming across these poor animals, it's not brilliant, you know. I don't think, oh great, I've found another one. It's sad. It's really sad, and then to have to tell farmer to ring him up and tell him, you know, come here, get yourself down here, and I'll help you get this animal onto the back of a truck. It's not great. But so no, not heard of anything recently. Totally unrelated, perhaps, but I have noticed social media have been showing arbor porpoise that have maybe been washed up onto the beach and things, and I don't think they've been deceased anyway. I think they're probably being put back into water, but I only saw that a few days ago. I didn't really focus on it. See Mel Silter's in, Gobstopper, FMJ66, Matthew Cook, Liam Wilkinson. We know we've spoke to you, Liam. Let's have a look. Becco. Let's just keep going down here just a little bit. JG 44466. Let's have a look. Gemma's still here. Gamma. Let's have a look. We'll just keep going down here. Bringing down the light. Oh, wow. Let's do this one. All right, Paul. Brilliant live. Is the werewolf sighting by the Three Wild Camp? Isn't that strange? Because I'm just going down these guys. So, yeah, I really think it is. And I know we're splitting hairs here for some people, but because if you say werewolf, people are thinking, Christ, he's talking about something that transforms and it can be killed by silver bullets and you're only going to see them on a full moon. Forget all that. Throw all that away. That's not part of it. That's for movies. These things were being talked about long before movies. Where do you think the ideas from the movies came from? And maybe silver is to do with it, but I don't think it is. Well, anyway, what we're doing, Cryptid Phenomena certainly is mine. It's up there, isn't it? Then you've got the paratroopers, haven't you? You've got not the paratroopers, the military guys on cliff top. You know, that were quite brilliant. And odd times he'll reach out, and one of them, and he'll still message me, and he's come in here a few times over years because he's not in this country now, and you know, it's still had a profound effect on him. And let's face it, these things do have a profound effect. Somebody talked earlier tonight. Has there been any reports of this kind of thing on the Thorn Moors? And that sighting when that man contacted me, because obviously I can't know about these things unless somebody reaches out to me. So when that man contacted me and I replied back, there's a little bit of space and then there's nothing. And I don't pester people week in, week out, but I leave it a week or so and drop it and say, you know, I respect your wishes. If you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But when you do, or if you do, I'm here and I'd love to hear what you've got to share. And it probably took me a couple of years of that man feeling confident to share that with me. And what an incredible story that one is at Thorn. There's a few. I mean, you guys have been brilliant with questions, because there's that creature sighting at Fylingdales, or close to Fylingdales, where that lady and her husband, they were just coming out of what's called the Devil's Elbow on that road going up towards the base, Fylingdales base, and they're about a mile away from base, and they claim that this thing ran across road in front of them. Now, she saw it. She thought, I'm not going to say anything, because her husband's not a believer in anything of the unexplained. And they believe it were 8 foot tall, canine type legs, but it looked more like branches put together. And it were emitting a white glow from its chest as it went across road. And she weren't going to say anything. And her husband said, "Did you just see that?" So, you know, as fast as you can, people say you couldn't make this stuff up. Or people say, well, you know, he comes out with a lot of weird and crazy stories, Paul Sinclair. Other people are sharing these stories with me. These books, the truth proof books, for the most part, apart from, I do it every time, don't I, Night People, apart from Night People, they're filled with other people's accounts of their experiences. So it's not my vivid and wild imagination. I'm relaying other people's accounts, and I try my hardest, if I believe that the person who's talking to me is sincere, I try my hardest to put them over in the best light possible. So once again, I've gone off on one, bringing down the light. Yeah, the Broxer one's incredible. It's just incredible. Let's have a look. Space cow. If the air is more electric stroke active, is there more swearing with me? Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, there's a certain member of our team who swears a lot, and it's terrible, you know, because I never used to swear ever, and I know Jack doesn't. Jack never did any swearing, but we're all pretty professional people, so we don't swear much. But one member of the team gets a little bit animated. Where's Linny? Is he still here? I don't know. No, I'm only joking. I think everybody does to a certain degree. There's a time and a place for everything, isn't there? Let's, you know, if we're going to be serious. I don't know. I've got 11 grandkids. I don't swear in front of grandkids, and I'm sure you guys out there probably are exactly the same. But you know, if something suddenly appears in front of you or shocks you, you might say odd swear word, and that's how it is, isn't it? You know, we're only human, after all. Let's have a look. What's Lee got here? Question, Paul: if C5 can materialize UFO, what about in a forest area to materialize Bigfoot with our minds? Anything's worth a go, Lee, isn't it? Like you know, anything's worth a go. I'm gonna throw something out now that isn't my idea, but I've never heard it said before. But you can guarantee there's going to be some people saying, "Oh, this is what we do now when we're looking for the cryptids," because sometimes it's got to a stage when I think of something, I think of a line or a one-liner, or I do something, and I think, do I really want to do this? Because suddenly everybody's going to, not everybody, but people are going to be jumping on it and doing this. Or you find a particular area where you go and suddenly people are in it. I don't own these areas, but you just a little bit of credit, a little bit of respect. But anyway, a guy contacted me, well, probably 6 months ago with some of his experiences. But one thing that I found really fascinating, and don't exactly relate to what you're saying, Lee, but he said there was some woods where he used to go as a child, and he was with his sister. He says, and I don't know why I started doing it. He says, and it could be light, as in it's not night, but if you've ever been to these forests in North Yorkshire, as it's back end at day, but it's still light when you're on path. You look into wood, it's black. He says, and I don't know why I started doing it, but I'd throw a stick into the darkness. Throw a stick. I've not heard researchers or cryptid researchers doing this. I've heard them knocking on trees. James knocks on trees and things. Something I've never done, but I've not heard them doing this. So I'd throw a stick into the darkness and I'd wait. Sometimes I'd wait 10 minutes. Sometimes I'd wait and nothing had happened. He says, but there'd be times when the stick would come back to me out of the darkness. That's fascinating, isn't it? Have you guys heard anybody doing that within the cryptid fraternity? I haven't. And I wonder now if we're going to hear it. People go, oh, that's what we're doing. And we're not banging on trees. We're going to start and do that. Because I thought that's fascinating. He's not told me so that I'm going to tell everybody, or can I tell people about this? I heard something then. Can I tell people about this? So that's what he's saying, basically. As a young boy, teenager, and he don't know why he started doing it, he'd just throw it into the darkness of the trees. And it weren't instant, but if they waited long enough, on occasion, it would come back out at them. Fascinating. So could we materialize Bigfoot with our minds? I don't know. I don't think we can materialize it with our minds, Lee, but that don't mean I'm right. Can we do these things latch on to what we're thinking? And if the right thoughts are being put out there, could that attract and make these things come through? Perhaps. Just like people talk about the hitchhiker effect, you'll have heard me say loads and loads of times, and I think it's a great term, the hitchhiker effect. But I think a lot of people, and I think the way it were devised, the words were devised as though something's coming back with you. It's not, in my opinion. It's all in here, and once you start thinking about it, it can come back. I don't think these things have concept of time like we do, and space and distance. I think it's a thought process. In next week or two, I'm hoping to do a sit-down interview with a guy called Roger Gilmore, and you'll not mind me saying his name. He's a retired musician. And he's the guy that I've told people about, where he was on that ship. I think it was the Contessa, working as a musician on ship. He says when a London bus appeared in the ballroom, the dancing area of the ship, of the ballroom, and it was seen by numerous people, not that night, on various cruises. What's happening there? So hopefully, because I've already recorded him, and I was going to put it together for a short. I know we've gone from jumped a long way early from your question. I put it together for a short, and I was going to put images in it, but I thought it'd be better to have Roger sat in front of me. And I've asked him if he'll do it, and he'd been on holiday, but he's told me he will. So fingers crossed, I'm going to get Roger sat down in front of me. We're going to hear him relay the story, and then we'll put a few images with it. Because so one thing, me telling these stories, it's so much better when you hear it. He's lived it, he's experienced it, and it might only take 10 minutes, but isn't that fascinating? How does that work? Just when you think you've heard everything, you hear something like that that's just not possible. Is this possible if he's telling truth? And wouldn't that be brilliant if we can put that story out and somebody else says, I were on that boat, that ship, that cruise liner, and yes, I remember that. Or better still, I saw it. It's just fascinating, isn't it? We put Ian's story out, 1973, the creature that he saw stand up with his school friend. And he'll not mind me saying it. He's hoping, and if you're out there, if you're looking for answers yourself, he's hoping that schoolboy who saw it with him, it's a long shot, but he's hoping he might actually see this, that one that we put on, and reach out and go, hey, well, me. Small world, you never know, do you? That question led us all over the place, Lee. Let's just go down here a little bit. That's never seen out. Yeah, it sounds like us. What's the name of the hill where you see the lights, please? It doesn't have a name, mate. It doesn't have a name. If you want to name it, you can. And let's be right here. It's not a hill, When you look at it, you saw that bit of footage. It looks like a hill, doesn't it? But when you're on it, it just goes back at the same level. But I'll tell you what, the land at the back of it, if you go on Cliff Lane, I think it's called the Moor. But It's on private land, so and there's a crop in it now, so I wouldn't recommend or advise anybody to go on land when something's planted up. So stay clear of it. And why do I say all this? Because obviously it'll come back to me if I'm saying, "Oh yeah, get yourself up there." Don't. Yeah, I wouldn't advise it. Right, let's have a look here. He's got some things in with this bloody thumbnail, hasn't it? Not knowing the area too well, is there anyone living close to the cliffs that will install a... Yes, there is, and I think he's in here tonight, and he's told me. So it's once again, it's time, but it's something me and Linny could probably do if I get in touch with man. Dave, who comes in chat. I don't know if you're still in, Dave, and I'm probably not far enough down in questions or chat to see if he's still in. But Dave's told me that we can install a camera on his property, and his property, although not on edge of cliff, there's nothing. There's no views obstructing him with the farmland in front of the cliffs and Speeton. So that would be good, because I mean Dave's had a brilliant sighting from his property. I think it was 2022, and we maybe go over that one day if Dave wants to come on. That once again, it'd be better than me talking about it. There's no better than witness. So that's a good idea, that, Rod. And I've got a friend up there who's got some land on cliff tops as well. I think I'm not sure if he's got 72 acres up there. I could be wrong. I know it's over 50, but someone tells me 72 acres. And he's sort of given me permission to go on land and things. So, so there's chance. Only problem is to get to his land. It's hard. You want somewhere where you've got a bit of vehicle access, don't you? Or when you've parked your vehicle, let's assume that it's night time. You don't want to be walking back at 1 in the morning for 45 minutes, do you? You know what I'm saying? So we need somewhere that's just got a little bit of access. It might never happen. But at the moment, there's nothing. It's a public right away, those cliff tops. So, you're allowed to walk on them. Excuse me. Let's have a look. New words. We ought to have known that. New words. Try the picture, Paul. Now, I'm not going to... this guy knows it's parasitic something. And I'm not going to get to it, Rick. So the picture. Now, I promise you guys that you'll know what the picture stands for in the next few weeks, because I'm going to do a few interviews with Rick. We haven't set any dates, but we exchanged a few emails other day, and we're going to set that up. So Rick's views on the cryptid, particularly what people call the Dogman, are unique, and he's got some great insight into what's happening and what he believes is happening. And I'm not going to say he's right or he's wrong, because I think he's got some great views and some great theories that he's formed over the years. So we're going to get Rick on, and we're going to do a few interviews, and no doubt we'll give him a name, and we'll do them as an added extra. And looking forward to that, Rick. So the picture, we'll find out what that is. It sounds like a sauce, doesn't it? Like ketchup or something, but you're only playing. There we go. Let's have a look. Linny. Paul, for me, it went 25% to 30% darker on a very dark night. Yeah, you're spot on, mate. It shows how far behind I am with these questions, doesn't it? If you fired that one at me. But it did. It was just like a switch. It's hard to explain. It didn't... when you see a cloud and it goes over the moon and it's just slowly goes darker. This went... What's up there? I just turned around because I thought compound light had gone off, but it hadn't. Don't know. I don't know how that did that. But you see, another lesson learned. We all have cameras. We're setting now 6 fixed cameras up. When we're down there, on average, there's 7. But on average, there's always 5 set up, but usually there's 6 or 7 set up. So we set the cameras up when we're down there in various places. So they're set, low light cameras. We've got Psionics cameras, thermal cameras. So we've got those as well. When weather brightens up, I'll be taking that new Nikon Z up there as well. So we all have cameras. But not only that, I've got the DJI action camera. Linny's got the Pocket 3. I have a GoPro on a chest mount. Should have had it on. I'm not saying it would have picked that up, but the potential to capture these things, we're missing out. Rick I've done this story a few times now. Rick, PJ, Craig, Bob, when they came 2019 and we walked back off cliffs with them, they were off to Caton, I think it was, and me and Bob were going home. On that path, that diamond shape, that kite, children's kite depiction shape that punched out of the ground, if I'd have had a camera on that day, if I'd have had a chest mount just filming, even if it's dark, we would have got that, without a doubt. So I'm my own worst enemy. You know, we're missing out on showing you guys the proof of what we're talking about. Because I think there were 5 people there that night, and PJ were the only one that didn't see it. He was looking in opposite direction. But let's have a look. What's this? Please get in. If you towards your support is key. Yeah, thank you. Lee gives us as much support as anybody, you know, doesn't he? And I really thank everybody in here tonight. I can't believe that we've sort of held over 400 people. It's thanks to you guys, because all you've heard is me rambling on. You know, Andy, which is studio, is it 211? I was talking to him in week. He said it's really weird. He says, because you're in our living room talking. He says, and you're on your own, just literally. And yeah, it is a bit surreal. I'd not thought about it like that until he said it the other day. But there we go. Right, let's have a look. Never seen now. We gave the phenomenon names we understood. Like, yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on. And as we've evolved as a cult, as a species, as humankind has evolved, and is it progression? In some instances it is. In other instances we've gone backwards. But you're right. And now we need to find new words. I mean, the fae, the fairies. You know, it's in essence never seen note. We're probably dealing with the exact same things that were occurring and being seen back then as what we are today. And it's hard to say for sure, isn't it? Mark Doughty. Now, Mark, my head's Jamie Lee Deaton. My head's swimming here, Mark, but I'm sure it can't. I think it might have been Mark that were on about throwing the stick into the woodland. I might be wrong there, Mark, and if I am, I apologise. Well, I don't, because it's in good faith anyway. Let's have a look. Is Bempton the UK Skinwalker Ranch, the Unity Basin High Strangeness area? I think, and it sounds like a boast, but I think that there's more activity here than there is at the Skinwalker Ranch. Only difference that we've got, that we haven't got, is piles and piles of money to invest in a location area to actually study the phenomena 24/7. Can you imagine having cameras on a spot 24/7 and people that could man an area 24/7? Like, because at the moment there's just a small group of people going up there on a limited budget, trying to document it, sharing it with you guys. But what's coming back, like Gillick's just, if you're asking that question and other people are asking that question, doesn't it tell you how important the area is when it comes to unexplained phenomena? Because we've not got all the advertising that place has got, and rightly so. I mean, it's an incredible spot, let's face it. But I know for a fact that the thing, and you've just seen these bits of footage tonight, so imagine watching a TV program on unexplained phenomena, no particular program, and those 3 bits of footage they'd filmed there. Obviously nobody's going to film out over at sea either, on the Skinwalker Ranch or anywhere, but those 3 bits of footage, similar type of phenomena, they'd have made TV programs. We're filming this kind of stuff. I don't mean every day, but quite often. And like I said, just back in the day, back 2006 to 2011, I've got a box full of tapes with that kind of stuff on. And those little, I can't even remember what type of tapes they are. They're mini digital tapes. So I don't think it's a competition. Is it the UK Skinwalker Ranch? Because I believe, honestly, that there's places in UK and all over the world that are just as active as where we're going. I don't want to claim some badge saying we're number one. It doesn't matter to me. All I'm bothered about is what me and team of people that go up there manage to see and experience. Because I believe that there are locations out there that are just as active. I mean, look at that strangeness that we put on for Raincliffe Woods, and that story from James. I mean, it's the 3rd time I've said this tonight, but in a week, there's 2 more reports. I think we're going to get even more, and it's going to highlight that bit of road. And and there'll be some writer in future who'll talk about a ghost that appears on this road. Is it a ghost? Is it a shadow being? It can be whatever you want it to be. But so long as it doesn't detract from the fact that there's some strange phenomena occurring on that road, we're only splitting hairs when we talk about when we put different names on them. Some people are so adamant that it has to be the cryptid, the dog man. Can't be a werewolf. Why? It's only a name. You get over yourselves. Anyway, let's have a look. See, Lee's put that on. Brilliantly, 2,800 subscribers. That's brilliant, and all your support, guys. I really appreciate it. It's really good, and I'll just put that up because I appreciate that as well. Aurora was seen over the North Sea back in the 70s. Imagine what's flying up there now. And thank you, Simon. Yeah, and don't forget, I think in 1998, allegedly, there was an object, a diamond-shaped object the size of a battleship seen traveling over the North Sea, picked up on radar apparently, and I think the Dutch Air Force scrambled jets to try and intercept this. Crazy. Have I missed any questions? Let's have a look. It's flown, this, guys. I honestly didn't think we were going to do 2 hours. Gillick, thank you. And I thank everybody. I appreciate that, but there's no need for anything. I'm happy to spend time with you guys because just great community. I'll come off this maybe and speak to Lee tomorrow or Gemma tomorrow or Alison if she's in. And hopefully there's nobody being abusive. I mean, I've probably missed it if they have. But if you have, like I said to you, if you've took the time to come on here because you don't like me, then you're a fan, really, aren't you? Safety first always, Paul. Yep, that's brilliant. Thank you. You're right. Dave, Mac Portpie, any news on Wolflands 2? No. As you know, me and Les were doing Wolflands 2. Have I mentioned Wolflands? If you want a copy of Wolflands, truthproof.uk or come on, eBay. And like I say every time, if you got one tonight, it'll be posted tomorrow. Les is coming through in week, I believe, with more DVDs. And never thought we'd sell DVDs because it's on Amazon Prime as well. I never said that, did I? Wolflands is on Amazon Prime. And obviously, you download that or however you watch it. I don't have Prime. It's on Amazon Prime. And the books, Truthproof books, are available as in the Kindle versions. But yeah, people like DVDs, and why not? So Wolflands 2, I'll probably have a natter to him about it when I speak to him in week. We've got quite a lot of footage, so it seems a shame not to do something with it, I've got to admit. But with me at the moment, everything's time. I don't want to sound like get violin out, listen, he's at it again, but it really is. Everything's time. We're supporting, we aren't going into too much detail, a relative who's ill and her son who's not easiest person to deal with. That's as much as I'll say. So anyway, there we go. Let's have a look. Hey Paul, I live over the wolds from you near Warren Percy. There's some goings on there. I hear lights, etc. Yeah, it's supposed to, I've been a few times Warren Percy, the medieval village. And I don't know. It sounds, Danny, that you've probably not lived there long if you're saying you hear on here. I hear lights, etc. But if obviously you've been there years and you actually know of some stories, then please get in touch. I'd love to hear. What a fabulous place! And a lot of people go to Warren Percy, access it over the fields during the night. I don't think it's restricted. I think you can go there. There's an old church there and an old house that's obviously boarded up. It's not accessible, but a lot of people go there looking for ghost related phenomena as well. And I've been there, and there's some stones there called the fairy stones as well. It's a really, really interesting place. Warren Percy. Thanks, Danny. And anybody who's got any stories from your particular location, if you want to come on for half an hour and talk about some of these things, it's just as good as talking to anybody who talks at conferences and things. It's all about you guys. It's all about the sort of up close and personal interaction with what you're seeing and experiencing that counts for me anyway. You know, you'll. I don't care who you are, you'll get exactly the same with me. And there you go. And let's have a look. Let's have a look at this. I've just finished reading Truth Proof Free, Bringing Down the Light. Is it still possible to watch the documentary? It will be shortly. The documentary's gone at the moment. I don't know where it is. I don't mean it's ran away. It's sort of been leased out, but we'll be getting it back shortly. So it will be, and yeah, I don't see why not. I think I've probably got one copy of it, and I like that. Do you know, out of all the books, that's my favourite, to be honest with you. Number 3. I don't know why, but then you're old. Let's have a look here. 55. We're not going to get to all these questions, guys. You do realise that, don't you? Hi, Paul. Is the Dogman documentary? Can't remember the exact name of it. Land of Wolf. Oh, it's Wolfland. Wolflands. Grey Tombstone Salesman, 1938. It's Wolflands, and you'll not find it on Blaze TV, mate. You'll find it on Amazon Prime, or if you've got a DVD player, you'll find it here, and I'll get one sent out to you. And not on Blaze. I've done a bit of work on Blaze last year. I think I did 2 episodes for them. They wanted me to do a bit more, and I didn't do for no other reason than time. And I did some for Ancient Aliens as well. I don't know if anybody's seen that. I hadn't even seen it myself. So God knows what I come across like, because I had to wear, I didn't have to, but I wore a suit and everything. It was a different experience for me. Usually I'm troubling around in wellies. So there you go. Let's have a look. Question, Paul, do you think there's a portal? I thought it was a portal near Paranormal Hill, or maybe there is something there guarding it. I don't know, Lee. You know, I mean, once again, we're just dealing with names, aren't we? You know, a thin area, doorway area, portal. Names for same thing, maybe. I don't know, mate. I just think that not the research, because the research only revolves around. It's only as good as the people that are coming forward with the information, and I guess the people that are sharing this information are highlighting that there's strange things occurring around that locale. So yeah, just like when I say it, if you want me to put a pin in the map where I think the strangest places around that area, I would to Speeton, without a doubt. But it's simply because it gets very little footfall. I'm like a broken record here, but I keep saying it. Very little footfall, and I get reports from Speeton, and they're great reports. And lights emerging from cliffs, lights over the sea. I mean, that bit of footage that I put on last, that's off Speeton. But, you know, that strange, if you want to call it a portal, that same shimmering jelly that the lady saw with her husband or a partner as they're walking along beach in daylight. Speeton, it's an interesting place. But there's places everywhere. Let's not try and stick a pin in it entirely and say, oh, we've got the specialist place on Earth, because we haven't. I think we can go up and down coast, we can go inland. There'll be people out there that know where there's things just as active and just as interesting. What I say to those people is, share it with us. If you don't mind, you know, let's be hearing about some of these other locations. Let's highlight them. Let's have a look. Rachel, those flashing lights, can you remember the month, year, location? Are we talking about that bit of footage, Rachel? That was 2009, and I think it was June. If you're talking about that bit of footage with the red light, oh, you could be on about the lights that were coming up on the cliffs. That could be any time of year. That, you know, we're seeing them usually when we least expect it, and could be any time of year. Oh, Steve Wills, good to see you, Steve. Alan Carrigan, let's have a look. PJ, let's have a look. See, Gemma's still there. Thanks, Gemma. Thanks, Lee. Jojo, Martin James, we've done Martin. Clifftop Pete, we've done Clifftop Pete. And I hope you're feeling okay, mate. Mag Sue, Ben 22904. Why do I have to say it all? I don't know, there's something wrong with me, isn't there? Let's have a look. Moon Dog, Space Cow, we're doing all this. Laura Sinclair, that's my youngest daughter. I love Laura. She's not my favourite, but I like her. Gemma, she's my daughter as well, isn't she? I suppose I've got to say I love them all, really. They're all the same. Let's have a look. We'll just keep going down. I'm looking for another question, guys, before we kind of close this down. And I'm shuffling down here. Charlie, Mag, Sue, Simon. Oh, come on. What we got? So, well, this isn't a question as such, but thank you. Paul, got all your books, read them all at least 3 times. Fantastic reading. Thank you. Thank you. Do you know what I said? Thank God for spell check, to be honest with you. And look at that. See how quite far behind I am with these questions. Have you got the recipe for the Wales omelette? No, I haven't, mate. No. I don't know what's coming out of my mouth half at time, do I? So, yeah. And I've left myself wide open saying that, Anna. Bobby Sykes, your explanation of seeing them around and the being able to move, spot on. Thank you. So we're gonna wind this down in a minute. Let's have a look. That's the same again. Yeah, I thought it was. I thought there were a little bit more added to it. So Laura, I hope you've been working too hard. We'll just call you Robert John. I saw a werewolf. Did you? Okay, mate. Well, if you're serious, I'd love to hear about it. I'm not saying you're not serious. Let's have a look. The Devil's Elbow at Ladybow Reservoir in Longdale has had sightings of a gigantic slug crossing the road. Really? That's fascinating. Light dazzles. Thank you. No, once again, nothing surprises, does it? There's so much of this strangeness. Right. That's all I've got. Hi, Paul. Enjoyed watching Linny at the Awakening Conference. Considering he's no use to public speaking, I thought he was great. I did as well. I'm sending you my UFO sightings, Paul. Richard, thank you. And yeah, Linny's not used to public speaking, but he is. When you get speaking to him, you'll realise he can talk for England, and he'll be grinning to himself because I say it in kindest possible way. He's good. He puts everything over in a way that we can all understand. You can relate to him, just like you can Pete, but we don't get Pete talking, Clifftop Pete, because Pete's got some interesting stuff to share. As Mark, Chris Mack, all of us, we're all sort of in it, and absolutely brilliant. And just thanks for support, guys, tonight. I really, really do appreciate it. Thanks for, the monetary contributions. You don't have to do it. You've done it. I appreciate it. But everybody else in chat, you're just as important to me. Honestly, it's absolutely brilliant. So I'm sorry, I see pointers in. Andrew Bell, Space Cow. I'm not going to get to the rest of the questions. I'm going to go and have another cup of tea. Try and get here next week, guys, and we'll share a little bit more information. I can't believe it that we've held 400 people over for the last 2 hours. And I'm thinking of doing a few random ones. Let me know afterwards, either an email or send me a message on social media, because I get up at stupid o'clock. Sometimes I'm up at 4 a.m. and I'll be in here just doing a few notes and things. And I thought, I might just try and do a live stream. Let's see if anybody's about. And I wouldn't advertise it, because it wouldn't be fair. What if I didn't get up? But just some thoughts, just some random in the real early hours. And maybe it's a crazy thing to do, but I'm thinking about giving it a go. So, and absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Mark. I'm gonna go now, guys, because I'm just doing this every time I can see all these questions. Let's have a look what Laura's just said. Laura Botel, that's my daughter. The picture and videos are great quality for a while. Then all of a sudden the quality seems to drop. Not sure what you mean there. The picture and videos are great quality for a while. I suppose if we're passing on pictures and objects, then they do deteriorate as you sort of share them more. If that's what you're getting at, Laura, I don't know. But it's good to hear Laura. I always love hearing Laura. And we had grandkids, other day, Laura's kids, and it was funny as all, and really great. All right. There's a webcam running 24/7 North Landing. Yeah, you're spot on, 40. If anyone wants to watch the skies on the close to Bempton, it offers some amazing views. Yeah, you're spot on. And somebody did contact me last week and said they'd seen a strange light on cliff tops. So if it were you and I didn't get back to you, I do apologise. It's just come back into my mind as 40's flagged this up. And it might have been you, 40, that did it, because this guy finds some amazing things in footage. But I immediately thought, well, there's loads of people walk along cliff tops, usually with a headlight on or a torch or something, and you don't constantly see it. because there's lots of dips and little curves in path. But that's just a thought. Okay, on that note, guys, I'm going to say good night. Absolutely brilliant that you've given us your support tonight. And we'll see you next Sunday. You take care. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this with you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella come in and said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything is definitely silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, there's no night noise, because, you know, there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.